Hi everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. I wanted to jump in and I wanted to read you a story that I really think that you are going to love. This story is perfect for right now because if you know this, we actually have the Olympics coming up this summer. This story was actually written by Jessica Long, and she is in the Paralympics. She is actually a gold medalist for the Paralympics. This story is called The Mermaid with No Tail. The Mermaid with No Tail. Imagine a mermaid with no tail. Her name was Tatiana. The other mermaids wouldn't play with Tatiana because she was missing her beautiful tail fins. Tail fins are what make mermaids mermaids. They all said this, and then they swam away. Tatiana grew up with the sea turtles. When she was very small, her turtle parents found her hiding in a giant clamshell. She was all alone, so they took care of her and they adopted her into their family. Even though she didn't look like them, the turtles loved her, and Tatiana loved them. She thought they were the best dad and mom in the world. Tatiana's favorite thing was watching the Mermaid Games, which is the biggest swimming competition in all of the 7 seas. She cheered for the racers and imagined herself swimming with them. She told her parents, "I am going to compete in the Mermaid Games and wear the winner's trident shell around my neck for everyone to see." One of the racers overheard her and said, "You'll never have a chance at winning with no tail. It's just not possible for you to beat other mermaids. We use our powerful tail fins to propel ourselves through the water." The other mermaids nodded in agreement. Think about that for a second. So how do you think right now that Tatiana is feeling? Look at this picture. Do a little bit of a close-up here. Try to see her face. What do you think she's feeling right now? She's feeling maybe not so great, especially with some of those unkind words that the other mermaids are saying to Tatiana. But Tatiana was determined. It wasn't easy for her to swim, though. In fact, she could hardly swim at all. "I wish my tail could grow back like the starfish arms do when they break off," she said. The starfish nodded sympathetically. "Don't worry," said Mom Turtle. "You will find a way. I believe in you. You can do anything as long as you practice, practice, practice," said Dad Turtle. Tatiana headed off in search of a coach who would help her. She had heard about an old shark named Phelpsy who lived near the coral reef. Sharks make the best coaches because they are fast and they are tough, and that is exactly what Tatiana needed. As she approached the coral reef, she saw the old shark. "I've heard about you," Phelpsy said. "You're the little mermaid girl with no tail." "That's me," Tatiana said. "I'm going to win the Mermaid Games with you as my coach." Look at Phelpsy, the shark. Phelpsy was impressed with Tatiana's determination and agreed to train her for the race. "You will have to train very, very hard," he said. Many of the mermaids have competed in the games before and have been training for years. Tatiana agreed to practice every single day. Then Phelpsy told Tatiana something important. Think about what you do have instead of worrying about what you don't have, he said. Tatiana didn't have a tail, but she did have arms. That's really good advice, right? Think about that. I'm going to read that part again. Phelpsy told Tatiana something very important. Think about what you do have instead of worrying about what you don't have. I think that's important for all of us, right? We need to think about our very own strengths. There are some things that maybe we're not good at, but there's other things that we're really good at. And I think that's the advice that Phelpsy is giving to Tatiana right now as well. Since mermaids usually have tails with fins, they don't use their arms to swim. Phelpsy taught Tatiana to swim with her arms, like humans do. Her arms became her secret weapon. Phelpsy was a tough coach. He pushed Tatiana to swim harder than she had ever had before. Her arms were sore at the end of each day, but she could tell that she was getting stronger and faster. Sounds like a really good coach, too, right? The coach knew exactly what Tatiana needed to do to become faster and stronger. When race day came, Tatiana swam confidently to the starting line. The other mermaids were pointing and whispering about her, but she didn't pay any attention to them. She knew that she didn't have to be like everybody else. Also, I think that is even more wonderful advice, right? She now knew that she didn't have to be like everybody else. She wasn't like everybody else, and that was okay. She was using her strengths. The race official blew into a giant conch shell, and all the racers took off. Tatiana was slightly behind at first, but she started catching up as she pushed her arms faster and faster through the water. She remembered everything she had practiced with Phelpsy, and she swam right through each obstacle perfectly. Do you think she's going to win? What do you think? We'll find out. As she swam around the last obstacle, Tatiana saw her parents and Phelpsy waiting for her at the finish line. She gave one final push and crossed the finish line in first place. Tatiana had won the Mermaid Games. I am so proud of you, said Mom Turtle. Your missing tail is what makes you unique, said Dad Turtle. Tatiana smiled as the winner's trident shell was placed around her neck. I didn't realize it before, Tatiana said, but the thing that makes you different is your greatest gift. What a wonderful message in that story. And I want you to keep that in mind as you go throughout life. There are some times that we know, like I said, maybe we're not good at something, right? But there's other things that we're really good at. So focus on your strengths. Focus on the things that make you super unique. I want to read this because that was the very last page. However, this is a little bit more about the author, Jessica Long. So this says that when she was little, she was born without fibulas, ankles, heels, or most of other bones in her feet. This was because at the age of 18 months old, her legs were actually amputated, which means that they had to be cut off of her. They were amputated below the knees so she could be fitted for prosthetic legs. Now, prosthetics are a type of fake leg that is put onto a person who is missing a leg or an arm. Jessica has been involved in many, many sports, including gymnastics and basketball and cheerleading, ice skating, biking, running, and rock climbing. So she is really good at a lot of things. She learned how to swim in her grandparents' pool, where she would spend hours pretending that she was a mermaid. Now, she is an author, a speaker, an advocate, and sports personality. Jessica has actually won 29 medals at the Paralympic Games and more than 50 World Championship medals, making her one of the most decorated athletes of all time. That story was written by Jessica Long, who now we know had to overcome a lot of her own things in her own life. This story is called The Mermaid with No Tail. I hope you loved that story, and I hope that you learned something that we could take away and use for ourselves, right? Think about what makes you unique, what makes you strong. We all have something that we are really good at. We just have to find what it is, right? I hope you love the story, and if you would like to read it, you can check it out at the library. I hope you have a great day, everybody. Bye.